uh, testing and alteration once we start.
Cool.
But hey, Ryan, you want to know what an
Yes.
epic gamer sounds like when they get ready to start playing?
That was so underwhelming. I was waiting for like the.
I was really hoping that's what it would sound like, and I'm really disappointed.
In a world where the last thing we needed was more podcasts, we present to you the pods we cast along the way.
Hey, welcome to the pods we cast along the way. I'm Spencer,
And I'm Ryan.
and welcome to today's show. Cool. So this is off to another great
I
start.
was expecting more from that. I looked at my phone for 10 seconds because I was like, right when you started, I realized that I didn't silence it. And so
Oh,
now there's probably like a faint buzzing, and anybody listening to this thinks that their phone buzzed.
you know what? I realized that I didn't silence my phone either. We are a very professional.
Incredibly professional. Couldn't have said, but Spencer, uh, as you know, yesterday we recorded our first episode.
Yes, it was definitely yesterday and not before the COVID-19 pandemic uh, totally ravaged the United States.
Absolutely not. It was something that this is we plan and we do things and we do our jobs and things are fine.
It's true. This is our job.
Yes. This
Is
this is our job.
This is our job. Professional casual podcast
Oh my
personalities.
god. No wonder I don't have any I don't have any food, Spencer. I don't have any shelter. I
Well,
don't have
that's
any
okay, Ryan, because today's sponsor for our podcast is Zoom. That's right. When your world is collapsing in around you, but you still need to have a facsimile of day-to-day routine, choose Zoom.
Have you ever been in a conversation when somebody goes, "Hey, let's Skype later," and then you correct them and go, "Oh, don't you mean let's Zoom?" And then people go, "Obviously, because I haven't used Skype since 2007."
Oh no. I for everyone listening, we actually so our first episode we were using Google Hangouts to record off of. This production is held together with duct tape and good intentions, and uh, we're now being forced to switch over to Zoom um, because yes, we actually did record our first episode, our pilot, more than a month ago. This is our second episode, and you probably will hear them very close together because uh, with everything going on, it's going to be a lot easier to get these episodes out faster, hopefully. And as many of you know, Zoom has sort of become the de facto teleconferencing program. And I will say, I'm not trying to shill. I could have cared less about Zoom before we started recording today, but I am pleasantly surprised by the quality of the audio. So good on you guys. Keep it up. Don't sell our information to China because I know what we're recording is going to end up on some server somewhere. So fix your security. Uh, but also good audio quality, guys. Well done.
I still wanted to do this by phone. I wanted to do this by landline. I wanted you to dial me and then like I would just you could just put the phone by your recording device. Because if I put it by my recording device is actually a recorder that I play songs on, like a wind instrument. That's to say that Spencer is in charge of recording.
I'm the audio engineer of the show. So if you have any complaints um, about the show, feel free to send me nasty emails. We'll read it on our mailbag,
Yes, and
which is a
you are the
service.
audio engineer, and I am the audio caboose. And together, we are a train moving toward disaster here on the Pods We Cast
On the
along the
pods we
way.
cast along the way.
I almost fumbled our own name.
Yeah, we're still in our infancy as a program. I think we'll be forgiven because at this point it's going to be like our parents and our wives, and
Yes.
even then, probably not our wives.
Hey, Spencer, I
God.
have a great idea for a segment.
Yeah, what's that?
I want to play a game with you.
Okay.
I want to because we are in quarantine.
Yes, we are in
So
quarantine.
I came up with a fun game. This is a game called Quarter Teen.
Okay.
It's where I flip a quarter and you call it. And if you correctly guess what it lands on, I have to tell you an embarrassing thing that happened to me when I was a teenager.
Okay.
But if you incorrectly do it, then you have to tell an embarrassing story of what happened to you when you were a teenager.
Okay, I like this.
All right, let's play the quarter teen theme song.
Okay. Quarter teen theme song. Here we go.
Wow, what a great theme song.
Great theme song.
Great theme song. Great theme song. Okay, so here we go. So do you first off, just to be honest, this is a nickel.
Oh man, you were
So this is
blowing
actually-
the illusion, Ryan. Come on,
This is-
man.
This is actually a game of nicotine. Not to be confused with Teen Nick, but you have to call it in the air. You could either do heads. Who's on the nickel, by the way?
Oh,
Spencer.
I honestly don't remember. Is it Roosevelt?
Tell me who's on the nickel.
Is it Roosevelt?
No.
Is it Jefferson?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I'm 1 for 2.
1 for 2. All right. My next segment, by the way, is a quiz on who's all of our American currency.
The answer is whatever the banner on my mobile banking app is, because all currency is digital in this country.
It really is. Who's on the Bitcoin?
It's that
It's-
weird B with the dollar sign through it.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, that's the Bitcoin symbol. Kind of like every currency has its own demarcation.
If there was a physical person on the Bitcoin, who do you think would be the most appropriate decision?
Oh God.
I would put Jimmy Carter on the Bitcoin.
The
For some
Jimmy
reason.
Carter on the peanut farmer.
I put Jimmy Carter in his overalls and his farmer's hat.
Oh my
He
God.
goes on the Bitcoin.
You would put a white male on a Bitcoin, Ryan.
Whoa!
Privileged man.
I would put. Who would you put on the Bitcoin?
Who's the guy? Not Julian Assange, the other guy who's been in Russia for a while.
Putin?
No, not Putin. The guy who was the leaker.
Oh, Snowden?
Yeah, I'd put Snowden on there, or Elon Musk, because it's got to be a personality that the internet blindly worships, and puts in a position of credit and authority. So, actually, yeah, for Bitcoin, I think the most appropriate image would be Elon Musk smoking that blunt.
Is there a picture of Elon Musk smoking a blunt?
Yeah, there is. I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Okay. That should be the logo for our show.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Put it in the show notes. I was gonna say, a great mascot to have for Bitcoin would be Odie, Garfield's friend.
Odie, not normal.
Odie, put him on the Bitcoin. Hey, you cowards! Put Odie on the Bitcoin. Hashtag Odie on the Bitcoin.
Oh my God! When is
All right.
Garfield gonna start talking about contemporary stuff, like,
Where's
quarantine?
the Jim Davis? Where's the Bitcoin Garfield comic strip?
It would be something super depressing if you took Garfield out of context. Like, John would have been like, "Garfield, look, I ordered dinner with our Bitcoin," and it's like in 2013 when Bitcoin was only like, $10, and then it cuts to him like just ruined in 2020 because he spent all his Bitcoin.
It's an arc. It's a Garfield arc.
Yeah, actually, that is a real scenario. Did you hear about this? There's a story out there, and there may be a YouTube video on it, where this guy basically shows him ordering he's ordering takeout. It may have been Domino's or something like that. But basically, he ordered food using Bitcoin before it spiked, and he would have been worth like millions if he had held on to it and not spent it, because like one Bitcoin is absurdly highly priced now. I think. Let me check actually Bitcoin rate.
All right. Well, while you're checking Bitcoin rates, why don't you pick what side of the coin, and then I'll flip.
All right.
I'll let this puppy rolling.
So the answer is one Bitcoin is worth $7,225.23.
Okay, but that's not the fucking question I asked. What I asked you was, Spencer, what side of the coin? We have a show to do.
We have a duty to our guests to stay on topic and not talk about Garfield cartoon strips.
Not Garfield cartoons and Bitcoin.
Tails, which is the side of the coin I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick Tails. Ryan is the side of the coin I'm going to pick.
Tails?
I'm going with Tails. Right. Everybody's favorite Sonic character.
His favorite Sonic character. My favorite Sonic character is the police officer he helps in the movie. Did you ever see the movie? I'm never going to flip this coin. All right, here we go.
You're just stalling because you're trying to think of an embarrassing story to come up with.
Have you thought of an embarrassing story?
My whole teenage years were embarrassing, so I've pretty much blocked it out from memory, but I'll think of something.
You'll fish in, and it'll change who you are as a person in adulthood, like bringing out memories. This will become virtual therapy.
That's the secret to self-confidence. It's just lying to yourself that you're not a complete embarrassment.
It's true. It's true. It's what I do every day.
It's what we're doing with this show.
What we're doing with this show, which is flipping a coin. Here we go.
All right.
Boom. I have to make my own sound effects.
You kind of picked up on the mic.
I have it in my hand. All I have to do is lift it. Do you want to change your pick?
No, I'll stick with Tails.
You're going to stick with Tails. All right. The coin is Tails.
Okay. So you have to share an embarrassing story, right?
Who is on the tail of the nickel, Spencer?
Isn't it like the quarter where it changes from time to time?
I don't think so. I think the nickel is pretty much it.
Isn't it something stupid and boring like wheat?
Wheat? Spencer, when was the last time you held like coins in your hand? What coin has wheat on it?
Doesn't the dime have like olive branches or something botanical on the back?
You know what? Now you got me second guessing because I don't have a dime in my hand. I'm going like I'm sorry. I keep going like, stupid idiot doesn't know what's on the nickel. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my nickel, going like, oh.
Well, I think it's an honest question. I think it depends on when the nickel was minted. I think the recent nickels do say like 5 cent. It's like a design that says it's like 5 cents on the back.
This is the. It does say 5 cents. This is the. I believe it's the Capitol building.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
That sounds right because the quarter has the eagle, unless it's been minted more recently, and then it's either got a state on the back or something else.
Yes, quarters tend to have everything.
Pennies have the Lincoln Memorial. Dimes have, I think, a 10 and olive branches on either side. So the point is, Ryan, nobody gives a shit about nickels. You picked a loser currency to flip a coin with.
Listen, the nickel is what we use in our favorite game of our podcast, which is Quarter Team.
Did you just forget the name of your own game?
No! No, I did not, Spencer. I knew it was Quarter Team. I named it. I've had the name in my head all day. But that was the game. Yeah, thanks for playing.
That was it. No, you have to share an embarrassing story.
What? I don't recall that being a part of the rule.
Oh, okay.
All right, fine. When I was a senior in high school, I was in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I played Bottom. And we were doing that show, and Bottom has a quick change that he has to do backstage, because I had to do the play within the play at the end. So he has to change into like his. I had a very thin white robe that I get into. And so I immediately went backstage and I pulled my pants down. And that day I happened to have very loose boxers. So I exposed myself to my entire drama club.
Oh no.
And it was one of those like very like you're backstage but like I kind of made like a scene of it
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, all right, pants coming off. Like everyone look over here. And then just the of my of of me falling out and uh and everyone gasped and laughed. And then like the worst part about it is I kept trying to make jokes about it
Yeah.
to try to like ease the awkwardness of it,
The sheer shame of the situation.
the sheer shame of the situation. But I was the only one joking about it.
Oh
Nobody else
no.
wanted to talk about it, and that was my embarrassing story. Thanks a lot for making me relive that.
You're welcome.
Sir.
Hey, you know, the silver lining in that whole situation is I think it would have been worse if everyone had thought your nudity was a joke.
Yes, yes, that's true. Like that would have been like a talk. If, like this teenager came in here and exposed himself, and now and he thinks that's funny, and we need to like correct that. I think we've talked about that. That might have been actually in our last episode, or at least like around it. Before you're allowed to be funny, you have to learn why you're not funny.
Yeah.
It's a very big thing. Like otherwise, that's how people go onto YouTube and they develop like these let's prank people videos where they're just running around being douchebags.
Yeah.
You have to. That's a very important lesson. You have to learn why you're not funny before you can learn how to be funny.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because you're right. There are a lot of YouTube personalities, and I think what a lot of that comes from too is so much of YouTube is driven by algorithms and ad revenue and all of that stuff, and so people will produce content that is, you know, trendy and what is currently gaining clicks and likes and ad, you know, revenue. And I think more often than not it's because they're just regurgitating what's keeping the algorithm happy without a full understanding of why it's funny, or because how many online review shows have you watched, and you know, take a nostalgia critic video, for example, put that up against a Red Letter Media video. Clearly, one of those is going to come out on top because
Nostalgia critic.
yeah, of course, Doug Walker. He's a man of high
Man.
quality.
You know what my favorite episode of Nostalgia Critic is? It's the one where he wears like the hat.
Yeah, that's funny. Because hats are funny.
Hats are funny.
Hats are funny. Hats are funny, and hats are cool. And since we're talking about it, I'll level the playing field here. Even though I won at quarter team, I will.
Whoa!
I will. Oh,
Hang on now. Are you already throwing in my face?
I'm throwing. Listen, you fucking annihilated me at Smash. I gotta get my digs in.
I did.
We played a few rounds of Smash Bros before this to warm up.
If you edit that out of the episode, I'll kill you.
I won't edit it out. This is all staying in. No, but yeah. No, I will level the playing field here. I'll share an embarrassing story. It's not necessarily a specific example of something embarrassing happening to me. It's just more general embarrassment. So Ryan and I, both being theater kids growing up, we both went to Ashland for school trips, right? Before we actually went to school there.
That's right.
And so when I was there, there's a lot of, little shops and things, and one of the shops sells hats. And I bought, and still own to this day, one trip I bought a black fedora, not a trilby, so we're not talking like total neckbeard territory, but it was a fedora, and I wore it throughout the duration of the trip. And on a subsequent trip, I bought a top hat and wore it throughout the duration of a trip, which it's not like you can't wear those, but it's just such a high school kid thing to do, and it's so cringy to me to like see that where it's just like I think it looks pretty cool, and I'm gonna
Let,
wear it.
let, let me tell you why. I'll comfort you, and I'll tell you why that's not an embarrassing story.
Okay.
When we went to Ashland, we went to the same hat shop. We had three people, three of my closest friends, all bought fedoras. They tried to get me to buy one, and I said no.
Okay.
And they hazed me for it because fedoras are so cool.
Yes.
And then two of them proceeded to wear fedoras all throughout high school.
Oof.
And I believe beyond. I believe the fedora kick was in full bloom, and then once the fedora backlash started, I was very, very thankful that I had the sense not to buy a fedora.
Is there ever a situation where you could wear a fedora and it doesn't look completely cringy, or is it just guys who wear them? Because I've seen, you know, girls walking around who wear fedoras as part of their outfit, and it looks nice. It looks cute. Like it's coordinated, and maybe that's why it's so cringy to see on other people. Is because when you see it on other people, especially like guys, and I think the stereotype is, you know, the neckbeard who wears a trilby because he thinks it makes him look classy or edgy in some regard.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I'm a man of class. I'm wearing a fedora. Like, I'm a gentleman, milady. Maybe it's just because it is uncoordinated, right? That it does seem cringy. Because I think in the right situation, a fedora can look nice, but it also is just a piece of headgear that has fallen out of fashion since the three-piece suit fell out
I
of
think
fashion.
I think it might have something to do with confidence. I think it's something where like if you pick up a fedora, if you pick up like an item of clothing, I'll say an item of clothing like a fedora, and you say, I'm going to wear this, and this is going to make me cool and attractive. This is something that's going to make me confident. And that's why I'm going to wear it. I think, I think that's a mistake. But I think if you are already somewhere where you're very comfortable with who you are, and you go like, whatever, I'm gonna wear a fedora. I think it's a very I think it's a very thin line, and I immediately feel bad for if my high school friends are listening to this and they're like, oh man, I thought my fedora looked really cool. And sometimes it did, but I to me it's I don't know. It has something to do with like I'm I'm gonna wear this thing because um, I want to wear it, not because I have to wear it. I think that's the key to it. I think that's the key to like most fashion sense.
Yeah, it is a mixture. Well, it's both, right? It's confidence meets coordination.
Hmm.
Fashion is always subjective, but it's also a hard thing to pull off no matter what's in trend, right? And
Hmm.
um, you know, as you get older, you figure out how to coordinate outfits better. You know what looks good on you. That's why you know you hear the term glow up so much, right? People who you know look at older pictures of themselves. Most of the time, it's not any fault of their own, other than they just didn't know how to coordinate an outfit. If we're judging them solely on their fashion sense, so I think it's that, right? It's coordination meets confidence.
Yes. Which brings us to the next segment of our show, which is fashion tips with Spencer and Ryan. Let's play
Ryan,
a theme. Fashion tips.
what's in your wardrobe? What's your OOTD, as they say on the gram? Your outfit of the day.
My outfit of the day. Well, right now I'm wearing this shirt that says it's on like Donkey Kong, and it has Donkey Kong on it.
That's awesome.
I love this shirt. It's very it fits me very well. I went out and there was I think a year ago I went out and was like I don't have like any like t-shirts that fit me the way I want them to fit me, so I went on and actually got like these long tall shirts. And I was like, I need one fun shirt. This is my one fun shirt that fits me very well.
Yeah.
That's it. Um, but I I I like a good flannel shirt.
Yeah.
I
An
know I'm
overshirt.
in the minority on that. I know not a lot of people like flannel shirts. I know not every millennial in this country whether they be upper class or lower class, whether they be a cool kid or not.
It's kind of a throwback to the 70s, right? Like, you saw a lot of flannel back in the 70s, and that was sort of the last era that it was really popular. And you definitely do not see people wearing flannel today as a quick and oftentimes attractive solution to layering.
I remember one day I was having a picnic and I took a look at my picnic blanket and I was like, this is something.
I want to wear that.
I'm gonna wear that. That's so that's me. That's my fashion sense. Spencer, what's something that's in and what's something that's out?
Things that are in. All right. Well, as we all know, Ryan, recent fashion trends are a little hard to pin down because everyone's inside. They're in quarantine. I think one of the biggest things that are in right now, sweatpants. They are
Sweatpants.
the ultimate utilitarian pant, right? You know, they're comfortable. You can sleep in them. You can go out, make a run to the mailbox, make a quick trip to the grocery store. They're easy to wash, right? You know, and fairly affordable too. I think that's probably the hottest thing in vogue right now. And what I really appreciate about sweatpants is you can wear them for a week straight and no one will care because we're all locked inside because the world is a nightmare hell.
That's true. Speaking of which, I'll add another in. My comforter. Comforters are the best thing to wear when right. You're not in the mood. Not in the mood. You gotta be in the mood to get dressed. With a comforter, you just wrap that around. I call it revenanting.
Revenanting.
It's where you just grab whatever shelter you can, and then you just huddle through your home, and every once in a while you grunt and growl.
It's like I want to stay naked or in boxers, but I really don't want to expose myself to the neighbors. Comforter.
Comforter. There's nothing like the sight of a man who has not had the motivation to get dressed that day as his comforter is sprawled out along his couch like a thin shell of a Jabba the Hutt. That's the fashion sense that I want. Spencer, what's out?
What's out? The number one thing I would say is out right now, cummerbunds. Cummerbunds, are very cumbersome, and it's just really not a thing that you see a lot of people wearing these days, and I think for good reason. I don't recommend, that's one of our top 10 fashion do-nots for this week, is don't wear a cummerbund.
And adding on to that, don't wear a cinnamon bun either. Cinnamon buns also out. Pretty much all types of buns, they are out. And if you wear a cinnamon bun, you got a sticky situation on your hands.
Oh, man. You know what, Ryan? I think that's a great transition into our first music break.
All right.
You want to set us up for this one?
Oh yeah, this is an old band of mine that I've liked for years. It's a little unknown band. This is the Beatles with Eleanor Rigby.
All right, we're back. That was the Beatles with Eleanor Rigby.
I always love those Beatles.
I do love those Beatles.
Why don't they get back together?
I don't know, man. Reunion tours are a huge thing right now. I'm just amazed that we got the rights to Eleanor Rigby, any Beatles song, really.
I can't believe it. You put in our application to get the rights to Eleanor Rigby, right?
I did, yeah. We definitely have the rights to play that music on our show.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah? Okay. All right. If I hear this podcast later, and it's
It's
not
not.
over,
I'm gonna get a
I'll
phone
be
call.
really mad.
um, speaking of music tours and things, um, and performance venues and stuff, did you see the stunt that Ticketmaster pulled recently?
I heard a little something about that. Are they're either not offering refunds or they're still selling tickets to things that are already canceled?
Oh, I don't know if they're still selling tickets to things that are canceled, but they basically said if you want a refund, regardless of whether or not you can attend because of everything that's happening right now, uh, go fuck yourself. And Ticketmaster was always pretty shady to begin with. You know,
Mhm.
no one ever really likes Ticketmaster, but I feel
Right.
like this is just one of those things. I feel like a lot of companies and businesses and CEOs are really kind of showing their true colors in everything that's
Yeah.
happening. And I don't really want to dwell on the quarantine stuff because people should be listening to this to escape. So I just thought that that was an interesting tidbit that
Well, it definitely is. Well,
reminded me of.
let's get into our sponsor for the episode. Today's sponsor is Ticketmaster.
If you need tickets
Oh.
cheap and you need tickets fast, go somewhere else. Oh wait, you can't.
Spencer, what do you want the next segment of our show to be?
How about recommendations? You know, last time we talked about movies and stuff that we had intended to watch. Is there anything that we talked about last show that you have had a chance to see since, or anything that you've seen recently you want to give a shout out to?
I'll talk about what we've been watching recently. We're almost done with it. If you need a great, uh, I recently described this to somebody as somebody that needs to fill a Parks and Rep shaped hole in their heart. Like if you need like a show that is just going to make you happy,
Hmm.
um, give Schitt's Creek a try. It's the first 5 seasons are on Netflix, and the final season you can find on Amazon. You can purchase that for $25 if you're into the show. I think it's very worth it. It, I'd say, the heart of that show doesn't come out until maybe late in the second season, definitely third season. But if you stick with it, it is such a fun show. It's Eugene Levy, it's Catherine O'Hara, and they're comedy icons. But who steals the show are the actors that play their kids. The actors that play their kids. For Dan Levy, who co-created the show and I believe show runs the entire show, his character is fantastic. I don't know the name of the actress that plays Alexis, but if the girl that plays Alexis in Schitt's Creek isn't a huge movie star in 5 years, then there's no justice in this world. She is so good. She's so expressive and pretty much, even in scenes where she isn't the focus of the scene, like you're constantly watching her because of the things that she's doing are so funny. Everything she does with her hands and her face, it's just this great physical comedy
Yeah.
act. So I would
Annie
heavily
Murphy is her
recommend Schitt's Creek.
character, by the way. Is her actress's name?
Yes. What's her name?
Annie Murphy.
Annie Murphy.
Yeah.
Yes. So check out Schitt's Creek.
Yeah,
That's
you're right.
my recommendation.
That's a great show. It's got a ton of heart. I would actually say you do see the heart in the first season. Like it kind of starts off as your typical. I would say it's kind of Parks and Rec meets Arrested Development. Uh, Similar
Yeah.
setup to Arrested Development
Very.
in a lot of ways, but you do get the heart starts to kind of show itself in that first season. You gotta know where to look. But yeah,
Yes.
it is a really good show. I will totally back that up as well. I've watched the first 5 seasons multiple times at this point. It's a really good show. And actually, that's a good segue because the person who got me into that was my wife. And because she had seen it beforehand and was like, "You really got to check this out," and I did, and it was fantastic. So I'm glad that more and more people are picking up on it because it is a really good show.
Do you have
Um,
a favorite episode of Schitt's Creek?
oh, that's a tough one. I guess we'll say spoilers because this is a
Sure.
later season episode.
Sure.
But that whole episode where David opens up his shop and Alexis graduates high school,
Oh, that's a good one.
that's probably one of the best episodes of the season. You're talking about the show having its own heart. That's a really good one because that's really when you start to see the character development of those two characters specifically start to pay off
Hmm.
huge. So that's a good one.
There's a great moment in that show where just to give an example of just like the kids in the show, and I say kids, but these are
They're like
these
in
are
their
people
late 20s in the show.
late 20s in the show, but like they're the children of Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara. And there's an episode where he's at a David Dan Levy is at a vet's clinic, and he takes a bite of what he thinks is a cookie, and the vet tells him like, "Oh, those are dog treats." And he just puts it down and goes, "What do we do now?" Like that's which is such an absurd reaction, but I just love it so much. No,
Yeah.
that's a great show.
No, all the actors are fantastic. It's great to see the chemistry that they have. Any show immediately elevated by the chemistry that the actors have together, and that's definitely one of them. Speaking of things that my wife had recommended to me, one that she suggested I check out, which I did last night, was The Girl with All the Gifts. Have you heard about this one?
No, I haven't.
It's a zombie apocalypse type movie, but it's a British movie, and man, between the guy who did this and Edgar Wright, the Brits really know how to do zombies.
They sure do.
Let them do more, man.
Yeah. 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later too. Yeah, it's one of the best ones of all time. But it's basically about a girl who is sort of the first generation post zombie apocalypse and has the virus, but isn't a zombie in the traditional sense. Like she still has all of the sort of urges and things that come with it, but it's more subdued. And I don't want to give away too much of it, but it's a really interesting, really well shot, really well executed technically. The writing is great. The actors are fantastic. It's a really good one. So I know zombies are really overplayed kind of at this point, and you may not want to watch an apocalypse plague movie, especially these days, but if you can get in the mood for it, check it out. It's a really good one. So my wife has got a shit-eating grin on her face right now because both of our recommendations are things that she suggested before us. So she's ahead of the curve all the time.
Oh, good. I'm trying to think. What was that zombie movie? I think you recommended last time. Is it One Cut of the Dead?
Yeah, it's boy. Yeah, and you have not seen it?
Not yet.
So I won't give spoilers. That's a much more lighthearted. That is a comedy. That's definitely more in line with Shaun of the Dead in terms of being a comedy. It's Japanese. But it's funny you mentioned Parks and Rec, and maybe Parks and Rec is just because it's the most popular comedy of recent history, one of the most popular ones. But again, we're talking about heart. Like it's got a lot of heart, and it's very, very funny. But yeah, that is one that you can watch and not feel hopeless watching because it's a really good one.
Oh, good. I'll just throw in if you want to watch a TV show. If you've seen Parks and Rec and you're like, you know what, I like this, but it has too much heart. If you watch Parks and Rec and you're like, you know, this makes me feel too good. I just want to laugh. Veep on HBO.
Oh God.
Veep on HBO is so funny. It's so brutal. The insults that they throw at each other are just insanely well crafted and mean. There are politicians in Washington now when I think there was some poll or like somebody came out and they said that when it comes to like all of these great like political like dramas and comedies like The West Wing and Parks and Rec and whatever, the one that they say is the most realistic is Veep. It's very sad. It's very like you root for almost no one.
Oh, everyone is a terrible person.
Everyone is awful on the show except for I think one character. But everyone is just so brutally mean and hateful to everyone else, and it's hilarious. I would heavily recommend Veep as well. And Julie Louis-Dreyfus is probably one of the better comedic talents of our time.
Yeah, I would say so.
At least top 10.
Yeah, to a point where it's like, wow, sort of underutilized in Seinfeld in terms of how much she can actually do, because you see so much more range out of her. And, you know, that comes with experience and, you know, years of doing things. But Yeah, if you want something that also scratches the more cynical side of that Arrested Development itch, that's a great one. To the point where Tony Hale is in it.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's great. He's great too. He kills it.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah.
So check
Well,
those out. I still
yeah.
have not seen Dolomite Is My Name, sadly. That's I'm gonna bump that up on my priority list. Maybe check that one out tonight so we can have
Yeah, let me know what you think of it.
have things to talk about.
Yeah. What about games? I know you've been playing one specific game a lot recently. That's a little
Animal
setup.
Crossing.
Animal
Little
Crossing.
hook there, Ryan. A little hook. I see what you're doing. Yeah, I've been playing Animal Crossing more than I should probably admit on air, but yeah, it's good. It's interesting too because it hit at such a right time. And I'm not saying anything that's a hot take, right? Everybody has had this conversation by now, like, oh, we're all stuck inside. Animal Crossing's a perfect game to play, but it is. And it is interesting to see the new influx of players because I think this is your first Animal Crossing game, right?
I've played a little bit of New Leaf. This is the first Animal Crossing game that I've played a lot of.
And
What I consider to be a lot of a video game. That's
right.
That's what I've played of. Did I say New Horizons? Is it New Horizons?
New Horizons is the name of
I don't even know
game.
the name of the game.
It's Animal Crossing. That's
It's
another thing about
Crossing.
Animal Crossing is like every version of Animal Crossing is the best version of Animal Crossing because they just improve on all of the features from the previous game, which I think for some people can feel frustrating because it's like, why don't you do something different with every game? But it's not really that kind of game. For those of you who don't know, the whole premise of Animal Crossing is you are a human in a village, in this game's case, an island of animals, and each animal has a distinct personality, has distinct quirks and character traits, and it's really just a day-to-day life simulator game where you play a little bit every day. It's not meant to be played like, say, Zelda or Mario, where you have an objective. And it's interesting to see the new players that this game has brought in who normally wouldn't give this game a chance, but it's had such a huge media, online media and social media presence that a lot of folks are checking it out. And it's interesting to see the ones who don't really know what Animal Crossing is about or don't really get the series yet because they're like, what do you do? This is boring. I just play a little bit and I talk to these people. But the whole thing about Animal Crossing is the charm of the game. And Ryan can attest to this. I will hold a game in very high regard if it's just charming. And Animal Crossing definitely has that in spades. The attention to detail that goes into all of the little elements of it, things like the little furniture pieces that you can collect, the different, bugs and flowers and fish and stuff that you can catch. It's just a very chill, laid-back game that does not have an objective beyond you have a house, do tasks that you can do to make money and pay off your house. It's a really good game to play right now. So, yeah.
What would you say when you play Animal Crossing? What would you say is your personal number one objective? Because there are like a few things that you can do in the game. Like you could collect things from the museum, you can build up your house, you can build up your island. What would you say when you load up the game, you go, this is the thing I'm going to try to accomplish today?
Right. There's sort of a Venn diagram, right? You've got the completionists, you've got the collectors, and you've got the builders. I sort of fall into the collector and creator category of the game. So one of the cool things about this particular version is you can do a lot more in terms of landscaping and terraforming your island. So you can build cliffs, rivers, streams. You could never do that in previous games. It was basically like, this is your layout. This is where everything is. You can kind of decorate the outside, but not really. This one, it's like decorate everything, really make it your own. So that really appeals to me from a creativity standpoint. But I also really like to collect all the fossils, catch all the fish, catch all the bugs. It's funny. Did you play? They did their first event this year, and in the past they would always have seasonal events, but it was always just the day of. This year they did it more like they've been doing it with their mobile game, where it lasts for 2 weeks, and you have to collect resources to build special furniture items that are only available during that time period. Ryan, did you participate in this event, and what is your opinion?
I did participate. I did not complete the event, but I was involved in, like, there was outrage about it. There was outrage about Bunny Day because, according to players, it messed with uh, the economy of the island.
Kind
Because you,
of, yeah. So basically, what it did was in this latest version, you can collect resources to craft different pieces of decorations or furniture. Um, the problem is with the Bunny Day event, resources that you could normally harvest. First of all, there were too many different kinds of eggs that you could collect because all of the furniture was based off of collecting eggs, which is a cute concept. But the a few problems I saw with it were one, there were 6 different types of eggs you could collect. You could either collect them by banging on rocks, chopping wood down from trees, digging them up out of the ground, shooting them out of the sky as they are attached to balloons, fishing them out of the water, and tree. Oh, and there were ones that actually grew on trees. So a total of 6. The problem is they replaced the drop rate, meaning if you were to hit a tree, each tree can give you a maximum of 3 types of wood that you can use to craft. But there's a chance that one of those drops would be replaced with an egg coming out of that tree, or things that you would use a shovel to get out of a boulder on your island. You could end up getting an egg instead of a more valuable resource like iron ore, which you need to craft a lot of recipes and is one of the rarer materials. So yeah, people were really, really pissed off that it messed with the drop rate of a lot of stuff.
yeah. Did you complete the day? How far did you get?
Oh, I did it all.
You did it all? What is the final? What do you get from Bunny Day? What is the grand after 12 days of working on this? What did you get? What did you get, Spencer?
Yeah, you got a fucking egg wand.
What did you say?
You get a fucking egg wand.
Wait, are you fucking kidding me?
No, you get an egg wand.
What is the egg?
You literally have to craft every piece of egg furniture beforehand. Once you've done that, you talk to Zipper. Oh, and we'll talk about Zipper at a later juncture. Zipper's the Easter Bunny character. You basically have to craft every piece of furniture. He then gives you a recipe as a reward to craft one more piece of furniture. Once you do that, you talk to him, and your ultimate reward is being able to craft a wand with an egg on the end. And what that basically does is you can register different outfits to a wand. So if you want to like just change it up and like wear a costume, like you can do that, which is a cool idea, but it's a wand. Like,
What does the egg wand do that's different from a regular wand?
nothing. It's just cosmetic.
This is very disappointing.
Yeah.
This is
I
incredible.
don't want to be too hard on it. I can appreciate what they were trying to do. I think they wanted to make sure everybody had enough resources available so they didn't feel like they were left out, and they didn't do a microtransaction model for it. I will thank Nintendo until the cows come home for not setting up microtransactions for that, because in their mobile game they definitely would have done that. Buy a $3 egg pack and get 20 of each egg. They didn't do that. So it was completable, but it was also a grind. My bigger problem with it was because this was a springtime event, it also overlapped with the cherry blossom event. And during a 10-day period, your town, a bunch of the trees would bloom to pink cherry blossoms.
Yes.
And you could collect the cherry blossom petals to craft different pieces of themed furniture. The problem was cherry blossoms, the recipes required more than the egg recipes, so the ratio of materials that you could scavenge was way off, and you had to either be given or collect the cherry blossom recipes from the balloons that would float across your sky, or get them from villagers. And the amount of recipes that were given out was so low compared to all the Bunny Day crap that you could get. And to me, the cherry blossom stuff was the more interesting furniture. So it was a perfect storm of two competing events, a poor balance of the drop rate. Um, I will give the developers credit though. They were paying attention to social media because there was a patch about halfway through the Bunny Day event that they did adjust the drop ratio of things.
Oh,
So
that's good.
instead of getting, fishing 20 eggs out of the river, you could fish 19 eggs out of the river and a sea bass. Great job, guys.
Uh, ah,
But at the end of the day, it was free. They can do better next year. And yeah, room for improvement.
yeah. So if you had to score Animal Crossing out of like 10, what would you give Animal Crossing?
New Horizons?
Yeah.
Oh boy. That's really hard considering the game's only been out for a few weeks. And this game is meant to be played over the course of like a year. Not having experienced everything, but just based on what I've seen so far, I would give it a solid. I'd give it a 9.
You give it a 9?
Yeah, I give it a 9. It's not
Right.
perfect. There's some mechanical stuff that definitely needs improvement. But it's a cute game. It's real good. Pick it up.
It's good.
Today's sponsor, Animal Crossing.
Today's sponsor is still Ticketmaster, but we like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, forget it. Pick up Animal Crossing. We don't get anything
Forget
out of it. We just really like it.
The only tickets we buy are Nook Miles.
Hey.
Hey.
So yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing. Although I also have been playing the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. That is a really good one too. They did a really great job with that game.
And you've completed one of the games.
Yeah, moving on to game 2 probably sometime this weekend. So
Nice.
yeah. What about you? What have you been playing? What's on the Ryan agenda?
Well, I have a soft goal for, since I'm in quarantine. I'm playing a lot more video games. So I was going through and I was looking. Wikipedia has a list of games that are considered to be the best. This is a list compiled of like multiple publications, like multiple lists that came together, and they just list off like just games that are historically relevant, or games that are just very, very good, or games that were very good for their time, or games that were game of the year, and like things like that. And so I'm going through, and I made a list of games that I could potentially buy digitally, and games that I have, but I've just never beaten. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to just play some of these video games that I've just never had the time to. Like Spencer and I are very similar in that we always grew up with Nintendo stuff. So when video games would come out that were supposed to be really, really good, but they didn't come out for Nintendo consoles, like I never got a chance to play them.
Yeah.
Not until later. Now with the Switch is coming out with like more stuff, so it's going back, and you could buy all of these things if you'd like. But I've decided I'm not going to buy anything until I beat one of the games that I've had for a long time, that I threw away because I was like, it's too hard. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I figure if I'm going to go for some stuff on this list, then this is the one I'm going to do. I'm going to play Dark Souls. And when I picked it up, I have two people in my life that are very big Dark Souls fans. I don't know if you've ever played Dark Souls, Spencer.
I'm Dark Souls approximate. I know a little bit of the lore. I've watched gameplay. It doesn't really seem like something that's up my alley. Like, I like a challenge, and I know Dark Souls is really difficult. I'm sure if I started playing it, I could get into it, but no, I have not actually played through any of the Dark Souls games.
Okay. Well, I think there's a stigma about those games that they're very, very difficult. I don't. I'm still relatively early in the game. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think you die a lot. I think that's where it comes from. I think, and we've kind of talked about this before. If a video game is like difficult versus punishing, like another
Yes.
game I played recently was Super Meat Boy. That's a game where you die constantly. You're dying like every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But you get back up and you can immediately progress with like where you go.
Yeah.
Dark Souls has these things in place where if you die, you lose something, but you can gain it back if you make it back to that point. So it's constantly just like preparing yourself to like go through this labyrinth of like things that you have to collect. But I'm very lucky. I have two people in my life, one a very close friend of mine, and another my brother-in-law. This is not only um, this is not only a game they really enjoy. This is their favorite game. Like this is something that um, they play constantly. My brother-in-law right now is replaying this game for maybe the 10th plus time
Wow.
because he just loves playing this video game. And so every time I need help on something, every time I need help, like, because there are a lot of like concepts in the game, like you have to like know how to like equip things, you have to know how to upgrade things, and you have to know like certain things like you won't really think of. Um, Anytime I need help with something, I text one of them, and I'm always happy to get just this wall of text that is they're so excited. They know exactly what to do.
Nice.
They go like, you gotta get this, that, and that. You gotta press this. You gotta do that. But I'm still finding myself in a lot of areas where, like Spencer and I are very big Zelda fans.
Oh yeah.
That's probably our favorite series between the two of us.
You'll probably discover over the course of this podcast that Ryan, you hit the nail on the head. We're big Nintendo
Yeah,
fans, and that is one of the things I really like about Switch is like letting us play games that have been re-released. I think a lot of people
Yes.
complain about that, but getting a chance to play them ourselves has been awesome. But you're absolutely right. I would say Zelda is probably one of our top games
Yeah.
that we both
Nope.
really enjoy.
if you want to shoot an arrow in Zelda, just in any Zelda, like Breath of the Wild or Skyward Sword or whatever, like what would you do?
Well, you would have to equip your bow, and once you have it equipped, you would use the action button to fire your arrow. Sometimes you would equip different arrows that you want to use, like ice arrows, fire arrows, etc. But yeah, that's how you would do it in Zelda.
If you want to shoot an arrow in Dark Souls, you gotta buy a bow. You gotta buy some arrows. You have to level up certain stat points in your character to make sure that you know how to use a bow.
Okay.
In order to do that, I think it's like dexterity and like I think maybe strength. Like you need like both of those things. So you need to level up a little bit to make sure like you know how to do that. I had to ask why my bow wasn't working
Oh,
when that
okay.
wasn't happening. So then you have your bow. Bow still isn't working. I had to ask again to realize that you have to hold the bow with two hands. There's an option in Dark Souls where you have one-handed weapon, or you can hold it with two hands, which is a little slower, but it hits a little harder.
Yeah.
You can't fire a bow with one hand, so you would have to know to like bring it to two. Then you're shooting arrows, but you can't aim. Why can't you aim? I had to ask a third time to learn the button that you have to pick in order to aim. And in between that, I had to equip my arrows, which is something I never had to do like earlier in the game. But like all of this stuff had to come together. And then I realized as I was shooting, that's where it was. That's when like my stats weren't working because I was shooting, but it wasn't doing a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized that just because I could use the bow doesn't mean that I have the stats to use it correctly.
Oh, okay.
So I had to go back, level up more stuff so I could use it, and finally got to do the thing that I wanted to do. But the whole time I was like doing that, I was like, this is a lot of work where I'm used to playing Zelda and pressing a button.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but the thing that they build into the game that's very important, which I didn't really get a feel for until I actually played it, is how much of that game is community driven. How much of that game is there's an element of the game where as you're going through it, you have to play it with an online connection. I think you have to play it with an online connection.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it's meant to be played. But as you're going through, there are markers on the ground that you read, and they give you hints like, through the game. And as I go through them, I realized, because I didn't realize early on, I thought they were just brought in as like tutorial markers. They're actually written by players. You're going through, and you could leave messages for people. Like if you're having a really hard time with something,
Yeah.
and you beat a boss, and you know how to beat it, you could leave a marker for other players going through the same area. You could tell them how to beat the boss.
Yes,
Um,
I've seen that also used to the opposite effect, where people use
yes,
it to troll other
right.
players.
But if people like your note, um, they could like it, or they could give it like an upvote, or they could say that they like it and get you points. And as you earn points, you earn like certain stats, like in your guide, that'll help you throughout your game.
Oh, that's interesting. See, I
So
didn't even know that, because I knew about different bits of what you were telling me, but didn't realize that the level of community interaction was so crucial
yes,
to
so
leveling up your character.
yes, so there's a lot to it where it doesn't hold your hand, but you have the option to nudge people in the right direction as you kind of read through and try to like figure out things to do based on other people's suggestions. You could also there's also an element to it where you could have people like actually come into your world and either help you or fight you. I
Yeah.
haven't done that yet. I haven't explored that yet, but it's a very community driven game. That's what I'm discovering as I played it. At first, I picked it up and I was like, okay, this is supposed to be just a very hard game that my brother-in-law really likes.
Yeah.
And now I kind of understand it a little better. And it's really something where it's kind of a game you could go through and you could play it however you want. Like if you like a certain weapon, if you like a certain like character,
style,
if
whatever,
you
yeah.
like a certain ability, like there's no reason you can't play like at the beginning of my game I got like an axe. According to my friends, there's no reason I ever have to put this axe down. Like I could just continue to upgrade it and it'll get me to the end and I won't be docked for like changing my playstyle at all. For not changing my playstyle at all. I could seriously just play through with the abilities that I was given and not explore, but exploring gets you a more customizable experience.
That's
So
cool.
it's very very cool, and it's very cool to play back and forth with Animal Crossing because if you get really frustrated with Dark Souls, you could garden for like an hour and just stew.
Yeah, how about we take our next music break?
Let's take our next music break.
Sounds good. This is let's see, we'll pick a good one here. This is David Bowie with Changes. All right, we are back. That was David Bowie with Changes.
You know, how come David Bowie doesn't tour anymore?
Oh no, that one made me
How
sad.
come him and the Beatles don't get together anymore?
It's really hard to do, Ryan.
Ground control to Major
Stop
Tom.
it! You're gonna make me sad. All right, so this last segment we're doing on the show is we'll call it Ryan Reacts, because if YouTube loves anything, it's that one kid named Ryan and also reaction videos. So we're definitely not stealing this idea from anything. But
It's a
what we're
good
going to
thing.
do is every week or every episode, hopefully, I'm going to pull a video from what we call deep YouTube. These are the grody underside videos of YouTube that are just very out there and kind of random, and I just want to send them to Ryan to see how he reacts to them. So Ryan, I just sent you one right now, and we will put a link in the show notes to this video so you can watch it yourself. But since we talked a lot about video games, I thought this would be a good one to share.
Okay.
So just make sure you've got your audio on and all that good stuff, and yeah,
I've got my
we'll
audio
take it
on.
away. I'm going to
Yeah.
call this one Mario theme song.
Oh. Happy birthday, Nate. Oh, love mom and pop.
Oh no.
Hey, look, there's Toad. Oh,
Oh no.
oh no. Oh, he put his email on there. That's amazing.
Oh no.
It's amazing what people can do.
So give us a brief description of what you just witnessed, Ryan.
A brief description. Well, I think if he picked up on audio at all, I think it speaks for itself. It's a man playing a trumpet and a gun.
And a gun.
Underneath it, it says "Happy Birthday, Nate." Do you think Nate appreciated his birthday present,
Yes.
or do you think he thought less of his father for watching it?
All I know is I appreciated it. So well done, guy with the gun and the trumpet.
Well done. Well, we gotta compliment him because he has a gun and a trumpet.
We have to compliment him because he has a gun. He has a gun, Ryan.
He has a gun.
Ryan, before we go, do we want to do another episode of the mailbag?
Absolutely, we do.
All right.
All right. You got your mailbag there?
I do. We got the mailbag.
You got your mail sack?
I got my sack full of letters. Remember, everyone, if you want to be featured on our mailbag segment, all you have to do is leave a comment in the video or send us an email. We will provide an email link in the show notes. So, Ryan, what do you got for us?
Sure thing. I got a letter here. Well, as you know, we haven't aired any episodes as of this recording, so we actually don't have any letters. So instead, I'm taking a letter from Dear Abby. Dear Abby, my mom and stepdad occasionally watch my children to help us out or to spend time with them. I just found out that my mom will not put my 8-month-old into a crib or pack and play to sleep. She puts her into bed along with my 4-year-old son. I have asked my mother repeatedly not to do that, not only for safety, but so everybody can sleep. She refuses. She says I should trust them, and they should not be allowed. She should be allowed to do whatever they want with the kids or with them. Please tell me what to do. Love, frustrated daughter. Spencer, sounds like a conundrum.
That does sound like a conundrum.
What would your advice be?
You know, in my experience, kids
as a single mother,
kids are a lot like cats, right? They rely on you for things like you got to feed them. You have to make sure that they stay clean. You have to make sure that they're getting along. I would suggest letting the kids sleep, much like my cats. Let the kids sleep at the foot of the bed, and that way you avoid any danger of their sibling rolling over on them, anything like that. Because with bigger kids, you can often run that risk. You don't want to smother the kid in bed, so put him in a basket at the foot of the bed, and it should be fine. Should be totally fine.
Oh yeah, you just a good old kid basket.
Kid basket, yeah. TM.
Kid basket.
That's trademarked,
Yeah.
by the way. Kid baskets coming out. Check our Patreon.
This episode brought to you by Kid Baskets.
Kid baskets. That's great.
Spencer, since we don't have a mailbag, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You have a lot of posters and figures in your home.
Yes.
Like you have like amiibos, you have action figures, you have things. Is there one figure that you are especially proud of that you own, one that you especially like?
Yeah, actually I do. On top of our bookshelf, I have a scale figure, a sculpted maquette of the Hatbox Ghost from Haunted Mansion. I bought that for myself as a graduation gift when I graduated college, and that's probably my personal favorite. It's just a really nice artistic sculpted piece. So what do you think? Until next time?
Until next time, my friend.
All
Until then, I'm Spencer Richardson.
And I'm Ryan Costello. Thank you for listening to the Cast We Pod Along the Ha, and tune in next time.
Thank you everyone for listening to this week's show. Remember to smash that like button and follow us on iTunes and Spotify. This has been the pods we cast along the way.